Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Let's Bubbl podcast on this very special festive Christmas Eve 2025. I am delighted today to be able to meet and share stories with a very special guest, the only one and only Kwasi Amaning Asare. Let me tell you a little bit about Kwasi. So Kwasi is a serial entrepreneur first and foremost. He has sold over 35 million records through his executive roles at Sony Music, Warner Music, and Atlantic Records. During that time, he worked with artists you've probably heard of, people like Snoop Dogg, people like Prince, and people like Wu-Tang. He is a senior advisor to numerous White House campaigns and UN organizations, and he has lots of advisory roles for high growth startups and for nonprofits. And he is also a serial entrepreneur, owns and the founder of 2050 House, who have been running sustainability and innovation activations at festivals like Sundance for the past 12 years, but also to another of other festivals, things like Coachella and South by Southwest. And in that role, he has worked with artists like Wu-Tang,
Yeah,
Black Eyed
Haley, Merry
Peas,
Christmas and
Queen
Merry
Latifah,
Christmas to
and
everyone around the world
KRS-One, among
celebrating this great
others. There are too
holiday
many to mention.
today
So a
and
very special
tomorrow.
welcome, Kwasi. Welcome today, and Merry Christmas. Yeah, and so I'm super excited to sort of share with everyone a little bit about the backstory. So I met Kwasi probably 10 years ago. We actually known each other a long time in San Francisco. Kwasi has lived in a number of, LA, I think, Austin, a number, probably New York as well. I don't know, but yeah. So that's how I met Kwasi. We met through the social scene, I think, in San Francisco, and we've been in touch over the years. And our paths have crossed. I was in corporate America, of course, but as I've evolved in my entrepreneurial journey here with Bubbl, we're crossing paths more and more. And so I'm really delighted to be able to talk with you guys today about something that we're doing with Kwasi, but also just about Kwasi in general, because Kwasi is
Yeah,
just
no,
a
Haley,
very
it's a pleasure. I always
stereotypical,
enjoyed working with you over the
incredible entrepreneur
years, and
creator, and someone that
I'm really
I really
excited about our
like
new
being around.
project
So
together.
yeah, welcome, Kwasi. So maybe. So why don't we start with this? So I'd love for you to share a little bit more about. So I sort of
Yeah,
spoke about a
sure.
lot
Well,
of things
thank you for
here.
that
I'd love
question.
to you to share a little
My
bit about
family's from
you,
Ghana.
your story.
My
Just where you
grandfathers were
come
both
from, what you're
chiefs in the
about. Why
Ashanti
you do what you do.
Kingdom. My uncle is a chief of the Ashanti Kingdom currently, and I may be a chief sometime in the future myself. And so I've always been very grounded in service and serving the community, not just our community in West Africa, but any community I've been a part of. It's like, what can we offer, not just what can you take away? I grew up in Philadelphia, so go Eagles. We're going into the playoffs. We're ready for another Super Bowl run. Look out, NFL, we're coming for you again. And I went to the University of Pennsylvania. I actually did live in New
Mm,
York for quite some time. I was working at an institutional investment bank
that's in a few.
for a number of years after college, and sometime maybe on another podcast I'll tell you my 9/11 story because I am a 9/11 survivor. Um, but yeah, after I mean, I was an institutional investment banker. I just
Wow.
graduated college.
No, no,
Uh,
wait, no.
our
I think. Wait,
office,
just
I
tell us
worked
that
for a
quickly
company
now. What?
called
What was
Sullivan
this?
Smith
Can you tell us?
Barney, or
You've got time.
Citigroup, it became. And our office was just 2 blocks away from the World Trade Center. So on September 10th, 2001, I was at the World Trade Center buying donuts for my group because I was a new employee, right? That's what you do. You kiss ass, you buy donuts. So I buy donuts December 10th around 8:30 or whatever it was, 8 o'clock on 9/11, right? That was September 10th. September 11th, I was
I've heard.
working. So September 10th is a Monday. September 11th is a Tuesday.
9/11.
September
You said the
11th,
11th.
I was
Oh,
at my office, which is
okay.
at 388 Greenwich, which is just, 2 or 3 blocks away from the World Trade Center. And as I said, I was an institutional investment banker. I was working on a trading floor. And so around 8:30, the first plane hit. And I walked around to the window and I saw a giant hole in the World Trade Center. And I went back to my desk. We all thought it was an accident. So we kept working. and all the helicopters, CNN, and everything was filming, right? So at 9:20, we're watching live TV, and we all
Mm.
see the second plane fly in, like we're watching it live. And then, of course, they evacuated our building. Everyone, was kind of pushed out to the middle of the street. And then the World Trade Center is massive, right? It's the only thing for literally for miles in the New York skyline. So we're watching the buildings burn, and people, unfortunately, had to make some tough decisions. And then, of course, we heard on the radio, because all the communications were knocked out, all the television, all the
Yeah.
phones. There was no phone service because all the towers
Yeah.
were on the World Trade Center, right? And so around, I want to say, maybe 10:30 ish, we heard on the radio, because that was the only communication we had, was like a car radio, that a third plane
Oh,
had hit the Pentagon. And at that point, the banks made the decision: we're not opening the stock market today. Everyone go home. And this is unprecedented, because the only times in the United States history that the stock market did not open was Pearl Harbor and the 9/11. So even to that
right.
point, they were trying to figure out how to still open the market. But once the third plane hit, I think, they decided to go ahead and shut the market down for the day. And unfortunately, there was no transportation,
Wow.
because all of the subways, buses, car traffic was shut down. So I literally walked home about 70 blocks from Tribeca to the East Village. And on that walk, it was almost like the Exodus, right? In ancient Egypt, the Jews were allowed to leave, and led by Moses, and you saw people just walking, right, at the time. And this is what it felt like in New York at that moment, where you just saw literally tens of thousands of people just walking and completely kind of in a daze, because none of us knew the extent of the attacks. None of us really knew what was happening, and none of us really knew what to do. We just knew, like, at least we could try to get home if we could. And yeah, that was my first job out of college. So, welcome to capitalism.
Mm. Gosh. Yeah.
Everyone thought it
Yeah.
was an
Wow. What a
accident, and
story. And I can't believe that you're all still
everyone thought
working
it was an
after the first one,
accident
because
that
like, wouldn't it have been like
was
in some ways like a danger? Like, I guess no
a
one thought the
private
building was going to fall
jet.
down, did
Some,
they? Because wouldn't that
rich,
have?
person had gotten drunk or something at 9 o'clock in the
Mm.
morning and crashed their plane. Nobody thought it was an actual attack, and so that's why everyone kept working.
Mm.
And
Mm.
again, it's unprecedented for the stock market not to open. So,
Mm.
unless something like
Mm.
catastrophic is happening, they're going to open the stock
Mm.
market. So, of course, the
Mm.
first plane hit 8:30. Everyone just thought, hey, you know what? It's an accident. We're
Mm.
going to keep working. When that second plane hit at 9:20, that's when people were realized, like, oh my God, this is an attack, and we have to literally run for our lives.
Mm. I mean, I was actually in Australia working, and I actually was working in a very similar building. It was called the Chifley Tower. That was the building I worked in when I was at Virgin. I was at Virgin Mobile. It was nighttime for us, so I actually had the TV on, watching the equivalent of the Jimmy Fallon show, the Australian version of it. And they interrupted the show, and they like started talking. And I don't normally, I mean, yes, I am a late bird, but it was late for us. It was like 10 or 11 at night, or 11 something, and I just kept watching it until I thought I should go to bed, and I think I watched till the second one. I remember not sleeping very well, but anyway,
Yeah, I
it
haven't been
was
able to
phenomenal
go
because people
back.
overseas were
I've been
offering
invited to
like
speak
I
at
can't even
events
imagine
in
what
the
it
new
was like
World
in
Trade
downtown,
Center
because for
numerous
us, I went into
times,
my
even
highest
this
building
year
the
at the
next day
UN
and I was
General
broke.
Assembly. And
I was a
honestly,
high rise, and it was a fairly well known
I've
high
had to
rise.
decline respectfully,
Yeah.
because even 25 years later, it still feels like it was yesterday. And, uh, it is what it is.
Mm. But anyway, so we digress. That was a
Yeah, so my
fascinating
journey
story,
after that,
and
I
as you
I moved
say,
to
just
San Francisco
tragic.
for the
But
first time
okay,
after
let's move on
that.
to
The
happier
second
times. So
year
tell
I
us a
was
little bit
working
more
at
about
at
what
the
made you
bank, and
up
I was
from
living in the marina,
9/11.
near the green. And I ended up working with Gavin Newsom, who was the city supervisor for my district at the time. And I didn't really know anything about him. I just had moved there, and I didn't know anyone in California, and so my degree is in international politics, and so I was like, well, how can
Oh,
I
wow.
meet people, frankly, and I stumbled into his campaign office, which is across from Plump Jack Wine and the Matrix at the time, and I met this guy Dan Holmesy, who was his chief of staff, and he told me all about this guy Gavin Newsom, who was this great entrepreneur and who was running for re-election. And so I ended up working on that campaign, and then his campaign for mayor. Uh, in 2004, I had moved to Los Angeles and left the bank, and they were starting an organization called Music for
Wow.
America out of Gavin Newsom's office, and they asked me to help launch that organization. So I did some of the first events for Music for America in 2004 in Los Angeles. I'll tell you my Kanye story on maybe another time, which is a whole nother rabbit hole we can go down. Because I went to college with John Legend, and he had signed to John Legend
Oh,
went to University of Pennsylvania,
yeah.
and so his roommate
Hmm.
was Kanye West's cousin, and
Did you?
John Legend got signed to Good Music, which was Kanye West's production
Mm.
company. And so I was introduced to John Legend through my alumni relationships when I left Wall Street. I did one of his first interviews, uh, like ever, for a media outlet called Campus Circle. A few weeks later, I was backstage at a concert called Audiotistic, and I meet Kanye West. This is before College Dropout and before any of that stuff. And I said, "Hey, you know what? I just interviewed your artist, Sean Legend. I'd love to interview you." And he was like, "Great." So I ended up doing a day long interview with him, which became his first magazine cover. This is like 2003, 2004. And then we almost booked him to work with Music for America, actually, in 2004. But whatever, we decided to go a different direction, which would have, in retrospect, would have been really cool to have done his first LA concert, but we ended up booking Backlicious and Saul Williams instead because they were just better known quantities at that time. And it sounds ridiculous now, 20 years later, but
Hmm.
that's what kind of made sense at the time. I eventually became the first social media executive at Sony Music. I built the first social media communities on MySpace for artists like Killer Mike, Nosh, 36 Mafia, the Fugees. I then was recruited
Wow.
by Cornerstone Marketing Agency to run digital marketing there. And as you mentioned earlier, I ran campaigns for Snoop Dogg, LL Cool J, Gnarls Barkley, which is one of my favorite campaigns, Crazy, Pharrell, Wu-Tang, The Roots. And then I was recruited from there to run digital marketing and part of Warner Music and Atlantic Records urban marketing ecosystem, and worked on campaigns there for Notorious B.I.G., Janelle Monáe, and a number of other high-selling artists. In 2008, I helped to create Team Obama, which was Barack Obama's surrogate campaign with celebrities that included Jay-Z and Mary J. Blige and Beyonce. I left. Yeah, that was '08 when hope and change, right?
Wow. That's formidable.
And what was
That
that
was
like for you in
08.
Australia to
Yeah, I
see
remember I was
Barack
in
Obama
London
running?
and I remember hearing about Obama. Mm. I was in I was in London. Well, I was in London at that point. And I remember I used to go to I went to a lot of American events where with
Yeah, no,
American
it was a
expats.
very hopeful
So that
time,
was
I
sort of
think, for
formidable because that was before I
America
came
and
to the
for
US. Yeah,
not just
and he
for
was
Black
yeah, I would
Americans,
go to
but
these
for
events and yeah, no, there
Americans,
was a lot
right?
of
The
positive
idea
hype
that
and
this
stuff
guy
in
would
London.
rise out of nothing and be
Mm.
so eloquent
Yeah.
and has such leadership ability was unbelievable at that time. And I was lucky to be a part of Team Obama and help
Mm.
him get elected. I went to my first Democratic National Convention that year. And
Yeah.
one thing that I noticed was that there was not a lot of representation from Silicon Valley
Mm.
at the Democratic convention. And so in 2010, I started my agency, an agency at the time, And by 2012, we had partnered with the White House, the Obama White House, to create Startup Rock On, which was the first formal activations around Silicon Valley and the Democratic and Republican conventions. We were on both sides of the aisle. And essentially, we created live public
Wow.
policy opportunities for startups and investors to participate in the Democratic and Republican conventions. We had over 250 elected officials, including Joe Biden, who was the vice president at that time, Michael Nutter, who was the mayor of
Wow.
Philadelphia, and numerous other mayors and senators. We had Steve Aoki perform at the Republican convention. We had the Roots perform at the Democratic convention. And we had the only uh, private speakeasy in Charlotte at the Democratic convention that went till 4 a.m. So we were very popular, needless to say. We also had Talib Kweli perform that year. We had a number of other great performers, and needless to say, we again we hosted over 250 elected officials. Asif Manvi, that was 2012, yes. Obama's second election, and we had the Daily Show
Wow.
embedded with
Did you
us.
say
So
that's
we had Asif
2012?
Manvi
Was that
cover us
2012, is
that
it?
year, and
Yeah, yeah,
it was a very special, again another moment of hope
yeah.
and resilience at the time. By 2016, when Hillary Clinton had run for president and Obama had served his time, we were, still focused on this idea of bringing Silicon Valley to the conventions to have live public policy, mainly because the conventions are the only time that you have every level of government, from the White House to the Senate to the Congress to state houses to county commissioners, all attending the conventions. And so in 2016, we created Innovation Live. The Democratic convention was in Philadelphia that year. We actually partnered with Hillary Clinton, who was the candidate, if you recall, and we had Snoop Dogg come out to the DNC, and he did us a very he did us an honor by not really asking for a lot of resources to be the headliner for this amazing event. We hosted our innovation. That was a little bit later, I think. This was pre Martha Stewart. But
Wow.
yeah,
Is that
Snoop
where you
Dogg
met
is
Martha
still
Stewart?
still
Did
he's
you
been
meet Martha
iconic
Stewart there,
for
or was it someone
decades,
else?
and so we had Snoop Dogg that
Okay.
year, and we actually partnered with the Hillary Clinton campaign. We brought Snoop to the DNC in Philadelphia. Also, we hosted a number of innovation conversations at my alma mater, the University of Pennsylvania, including a great conversation with Barack Obama's My Brother's Keeper organization. And then in the Republican convention,
Wow.
My Brother's Keeper is an organization that supports Latinx and African American
What's that?
men
What's that, my
in
brother's keeper thing?
creating community and family stability and job training skills, etc. So one of the organizations that Barack Obama founded out of the White House in 2016 before he left office. And we were lucky enough to partner with them at the DNC that year as well. And the University of Pennsylvania, was gracious enough to host us at the Annenberg Center that year for a series of conversations. And then at night, we had the Snoop Dogg performance. And the RNC that year, it's always difficult to book acts for the Republican convention. Unfortunately, like Democrats seem to have a little bit more cultural relevance, although Nicki Minaj right now is like, I don't know, apparently down with the MAGA crew. So we'll see. Maybe for the convention next year, she'll be there. But in 2016, we were rather limited. And so the Roots were doing a protest show with BET at the Republican convention in 2016. And so we ended up doing an event with Questlove and the Roots crew in Cleveland that year, which was still a lot of fun. And we ended up having some of the Cleveland Cavalier folks there, and it was a whole thing. Fast forward to today, I serve, as I mentioned, on numerous boards. I have about 12 equity
Wow.
positions in for-profit entities. I serve on a few nonprofit boards, most prominently the Public Foundation, which is a UN private equity partner, and we have, I don't know, 20 or 30 programs in partnership with the UN that we're working on sustainable development goals across the world. over the years as well, I've served on numerous I've worked on campaigns, and 2050 House evolved from my collective body of work, where I've been lucky enough to speak at a lot of these conferences, from the Consumer Electronics Show to Sundance to South by Southwest, Consensus,
Hmm.
Digital Hollywood, etc. The United Nations General Assembly, but I've always felt they were very compartmentalized and very disparate. Even though when you look at the Sustainable Development Goals and the things that we
Hmm.
actually need for humanity, it's got to be a coalition effort, right? You
Yes.
can't just build innovation and without public policy, without culture and media, right? And so I created 2050 House in 2018, 2017,
Hmm.
excuse me, to be the bridge between the United Nations, between
Yep.
United Nations Hollywood, uh, and Silicon Valley. And we've hosted these events at Sundance, at Coachella, at South by Southwest. This will be our, wow, since 2017, we hosted the first event we did at Sundance, where we opened the first crypto wallets at Sundance. We did the first real event at Sundance around cryptocurrency and blockchain. Till today, 2026, almost 10 years of doing innovation and sustainability at Sundance, at South by Southwest, and at Coachella. And so excited to partner with Bubbl this year to
Wow.
put a final statement on the Sundance at in Park City. Unfortunately, they're
Mm.
moving the festival to Boulder, Colorado next year. Just they didn't ask me, but
And can I just ask? So let's. I want to explore a few things before we do that. So, 2050 House. I just want to deep dive a little bit more on that. And then I want to talk about the festival for next year. But like, so 2050 House was for you, the, as you say, it can't be in disparate. And I agree with you. I think it's actually very forward thinking of you to recognize that, probably because of everything you experienced with all the history with the conventions and everything, as you say. So 2050 House is a
yeah, well,
culmination, as you say, is it of media, culture,
well,
public
maybe not. I mean, I
policy?
think
Do you want
it's
to maybe
not
talk a
something
bit more
that
about other things
most
you've done,
people
like over the
understand or
years with
think
2050
about. But
House?
the
A
United
little bit, and
Nations has
even
set out a
obviously, I
number
guess that
of
we all know
goals
why
for
it's called
both
2050
2030
House,
and
but maybe
2050
explain even that too.
that uh, the the experts from the UN ecosystem feel like we need to achieve, or humanity is literally facing existential threat. Um, no, sure, 100% AI. I mean, is like
And
a
is
threat of our
AI
own
coming into that
making.
now? Because obviously
We've
AI
all
is,
seen the
yeah, because I'm just
Terminator and
saying back when that was
Matrix,
even
and
formulated.
how AI could play out to be our biggest enemy. But of course, we by using the UN
Yeah.
framework, we can work on sustainable and
Hmm.
ethical AI solutions that are not, hopefully, won't be detrimental to humanity's existence. But we also look at climate change as an existential threat, and we've all seen this year with, in Austin where I live, we had 150 people die from flooding on July 4th weekend. We had hail side tennis ball. Yeah, we had 150 people die from flooding in Texas, in Austin, in San Antonio area. That was July 4th. We've had uh you know category 5 hurricanes in Jamaica. We've had back to
Oh,
back
San Antonio.
typhoons in Philippines.
Right.
We've
You're
had Sri
right. I
Lanka.
remember that.
All
Yeah.
these
Wow.
places all over the world. In the United States, we've had flooding all over the country. What they call these 100-year, 1,000-year weather events are
Yep.
happening back
Yep.
to back to back to back to back to back to back.
Yep.
So when you look at that trend, it's not a 100-year
Yep.
weather event. This is becoming the norm. These extreme weather conditions are the norm now, and
Hmm.
we are not prepared for it at all. As a species, we are not prepared for it,
Yeah.
and unless we actually change
Yes.
our
Yep.
course, we reduce emissions from
Yep.
carbon and methane,
No.
and we reduce the temperature on the Earth,
Yep.
then we're going to be in for a rough ride going into 2030 and 2050. And 2050
Yep.
House is all about creating the coalitions from
Hmm.
researchers and
Yeah.
futurists and people who actually understand the
Yep.
science behind this stuff, to then aligning them with entrepreneurs and investors who can create commercial solutions to actually implement those solutions, to then the cultural leaders who are the ones who can actually carry that message into the mainstream. That's what 2050's House is all
Mm-hmm.
about knowledge, about sharing that knowledge, creating creating vehicles that are sustainable technology, right? Leveraging technology and investment, and then using culture to actually push those ideas to the mainstream. That's really what it's all about. And yes, we've hosted these events at Sundance, at Coachella, at South by
Yep.
Southwest. There's some amazing contributors over the years, like Wu-Tang and
Mm-hmm.
Black Eyed Peas and many others that have been a part of this. Mayor Michael Nutter from Philadelphia.
Yep.
Last year, we had the Travis County Commissioner, Bridget Shea. We also had the Utah County Commissioner, Amelia Powers Gardner. We've had Josh Takal from Common Ground. We've had, just a number of amazing participants over the last, 7 or 8 years. And we're really excited about 2050 House at Sundance this year.
And I'm going to put up on the screen a little bit about kind of what we're doing with you guys. But so Sundance itself, and the significance of
100%. The United States,
Sundance,
100%. Every
I
other
think
film festival
would it
has
be
been
fair to
built
say
in
it's
Sundance's
the origin of the
model.
powerhouse
Tribeca
of
Film
independent film
Festival,
and
right, is
independent
very
cinema, and
important.
that's kind of why
But that
that's the one
happened
we
after
picked.
9/11. And they
Yeah.
built themselves in the image of what Sundance was. Even Toronto Film Festival, TIFF, is
Mm.
very important, but it's not nearly as important as Sundance. Cannes Film Festival is maybe the number one festival. I would say Sundance is the number two festival globally as far as creating independent film distribution and marketing opportunities. 100%.
100%. So maybe let's talk a little bit about this year, and I'll show a little bit about Bubbl for the people that don't know everything about Bubbl. But so let's talk about Sundance itself, and we can talk more about 2050 House. Some of the challenges with Sundance, I think this is why you and I got together. But by the way, coming from Bubbl's angle, and as everyone probably knows, I'm the founder of Bubbl. Bubbl is building. We very much see ourselves, especially as a platform for creators like Kwasi. We see us as a platform to help facilitate, connected and in-person experiences. Where we come in as, like, dare I say, a housing partner. We provide software to curate people and allow people to kind of feel community, not just by sharing houses, which is actually what our software does. It helps you set up a share house, but also through building a community through kind of our software around the event itself. We are connecting with Kwasi, and there's actually three of us. In fact, I'll kind of go into this one, and we've literally setting up these share houses, which I can go back to in a minute. But this is kind of the project that we're collaborating on, and it's 2050 House, and it's the Lighthouse. And Lisa's not here
Yeah,
right
sure.
now; she's
Well,
having
Lisa
Christmas with her
Coltman is a
family.
dear friend of mine
But
who I met
Lisa
over a
is
decade
also
ago at
the really
Sundance. We met
incredible.
at
Like, maybe
Jonathan
tell us a
Gray's
little bit about this collaboration that came to
historic
Kwasi, and
after party
then we can
that
talk about.
year. Um, uh, and I think what we've done over the last 4 years at the Lighthouse is inspired by Jonathan Gray, but also inspired by the Sundance ethos, which is all about community. It's all about creativity. It's all about giving, almost like Burning Man-esque. It's like what can you give to the community to make it stronger? Lisa has hosted 2050 houses at her home at the Lighthouse, which is an amazing home in Park City for the last 4 years. We've had tens of thousands of guests who walk through the doors at the Lighthouse. We've hosted numerous parties. We've hosted dinner parties. We've hosted dinners. We've hosted, amazing events for the last 4 years. And we're excited about this kind of penultimate event at Sundance as the festival is wrapping up its time in Park City and moving to Boulder next year, which, we can also have another podcast all about that later. But for right now, we have the opportunity to deliver another amazing experience for up to 10 days friends and our partners in Park City. This year, 2025, we had over 1,500 guests at the Lighthouse and at our Main Street Wellness Lounge. We hosted events with Josh Takal, the director of Common Ground. We had a farm to table dinner. We had Ruby Chase perform. We hosted a party for Move Your Body, which is a film about the inception of house music. And we literally had, hundreds of people a day for 10 days come to the Lighthouse. And it's really grounded in Lisa's spirit and ethos, which is all about giving. She's very heart centric. And when you come to the Lighthouse, you'll see there are hearts all over the house built into every wood fixture and into the lighting. And the hearts are a big part of the Lighthouse. It's all about really providing people light and love. I've had the pleasure of staying there. Yeah, I've had the pleasure of staying at the Lighthouse numerous years. It's that house in the middle there, and every
I've
time I
actually got a
stay
deck
there, I
here instead of
feel
sharing, which I can
full.
show you the
I feel
lighthouse.
emboldened. I feel full of life, and it's because of Lisa's spirit and her energy that really lives throughout the Lighthouse, and that she developed this whole ecosystem around at the Lighthouse.
Now, of course, people who come and participate. So this is actually our
Yeah, and
participation deck that we share with
it's
people who
really
come and
great to
listen.
have Bubbl
And
as a
I'll talk about the
partner.
different
In the
pages I've
past,
been
we've
showing you in a
always
second. But
had
of course, not
to
everyone can stay at the lighthouse,
really
and that's where
hustle to
Bubbl comes in,
get
right?
houses
So,
together so that
um,
our speakers, our partners, our performers could house together. As you can imagine, film festivals like Sundance are extremely expensive for hotel rooms. Houses also are at a premium, but when you can have a house of say 5 or 6 people staying collectively together, it does reduce the cost dramatically. And so Bubbl was the perfect solution. Uh, was the perfect solution to kind of come together and allow us to house our speakers, our sponsors, in a way that was efficient and that was beneficial to the community. This actually, Hayley, if you recall, I did the very first Bubbl at South by Southwest a couple years ago, and so yeah, I've
you
shared your
did, you
vision
did.
since
That's
then.
right. Kwasi did run the very first Bubbl before Bubbl really even had a platform, but just had a listing and I think a Stripe link or something. You actually did. Yeah. Well, so here's the thing I'm going to point out that we put on this deck here. And I think so. This is our participation deck for brands and speakers and participants and artists. Anyone that wants to get involved, we're inviting you to look at this deck, but we're inviting you to join our community, which I'll show you actually actually I'll show you now. That's this listing. That's this. Sorry, it's this listing. And we're inviting you to actually, so if you want to kind of participate, we're inviting you to show interest here on this link, and we'll share the link. I mean, this is going to get publicized to our social media and stuff. So you press show interest. We ask you a few questions: who you are. We ask you how you want to get involved, and there's just a few questions so that we can curate what we're doing with you. So this is part of the Bubbl platform. You automatically then go into our dashboards from me and Kwasi are on the coordinators on that, and we can see you, we can converse with you. Everyone, once we invite you into the community, then you can converse with each other, which is part of the platform. But back to this, so how we're positioning, how we are putting this together, guys, and like this is definitely where Kwasi's aligned is like it's going to be a 24/7 activation because this is a place for you to find your tribe and for you to share and connect and uplift yourself and get whatever you want out of Sundance. Just like Burning Man, he points out, I do see the parallels after, I'm an 8-time burner. Like, the parallels of Burning Man, you get out of it what you need. That's what they say. And you get out of, and I think for Sundance, it's probably going to be the same thing. It's very eclectic too. It's not like what I like about 2050 House and Sundance and South by and Burning Man for that matter. It's not science, it's not tech, it's not art, it's all of them all together. And that's actually really what makes the melange of all those different modals or whatever you want to call it is what makes it. So that we're building this 24/7 programming. So the co-living itself, the residential itself is part of the activation. It's part of the programming. It's part of the experience. and we're kind of excited to like bring that together. And while there's all these different activations and things that you can do as an attendee, or you can do as someone who is wanting to participate in like this ecosystem that we're building, there's you can participate in 2050 house programming. You can hear some of the topic areas.
Yeah, no,
You
that
can
looks
participate
amazing.
with
And
the
that
Lighthouse. I'm
that is
actually bring this
actually
up
the
so I can show
disco
you guys
ball
the
in
heart that you're
the
talking about. So can you see that, Kwasi?
kind of like the
It's
center,
like
the
this
center
heart, and there's
point,
a
the
big
heart
arrow. Can you
of
see
the
that?
lighthouse is that
That slide.
right there, which
So
you're kind of highlighting
yeah,
there.
in the lounge room, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
These are actually my photos, by the ones I took when I visited. It was beautiful. So yeah, this is kind of where we plan to have a lot of the intimate settings. Would it be fair to say? And then the Main Street location
We can
is
go back to
where
that other one. But
the Main Street location. I think did I have? Oh no, okay. Ours next. So this is the Lighthouse, and then the Main Street. I actually need to do a slide about the Main Street location, don't I? Because I don't have one. The Main Street location. Yeah, well, the Main Street location is this one. It's where we're going to have a lounge. It's going to be like a wellness
yeah, well,
lounge.
last year
We're
we
going to
had red
have,
light treatments, we had
basically all the
massage, we
different
had yeah, you can
modalities,
see in the
product
retreat kind of all
showcases,
the
talks. Is that right? Demos. Yeah.
yeah, red light treatments,
Where do I put that here?
electrolytes, guided meditations. We
I
have,
think I
a
have it.
number of different
There it is. We have that. Oops. And
ways,
then that.
breath
Which one we
work,
had
we
last year?
had
That one.
elixirs, sound therapy, as well as live music and performances. Last year, Ruby Chase performed at the Wellness Lounge. And so we're really excited about year two. And
Mm,
like I said last year, like earlier, we had over 1,500 guests over 10 days at the two
mm,
locations. And we're looking to even, do bigger than that this year.
mm. So there's a number of things that are like forming right
So
now
yeah, I
and
mean,
end up
this is
getting the
just the
deck as they
2050 house
form. We're going to
programming,
have,
but over the course of the 10
I'll come back
days,
to the
there will
housing
be
in a second.
many
Let's just talk about the
producers
programming. We're going
also
to have at least
contributing.
3 days here up
Similar to
plus
last
parties.
year, we had, these are the days that I'll be kind of
Right.
hosting and interviewing different investors and brands and tech companies and showcasing tech. But over the course of the 10 days, we usually have a number of third party producers that also work with us to produce
Mm-hmm.
film after parties. Last year we had um, there we had an entire kind of like ecstatic dance series last year as well. Um, we had last year as well a series of dinners, and so this is some of the programming that we'll see for this year. But we will have programming most likely up until February 2nd. uh and that's why I should say, in addition to the programming that I am personally hosting and that Lisa and I are personally hosting, we have
Mm-hmm.
partnerships with a
Yep.
number of the other producers around Park City, the Impact Lounge, the Cabin, Park City Live, Tao. And so we are able to provide our community with access to a number of the other activations that are happening around town as well.
Yeah, and so the thing, so what we're kind of putting together, so just to bring the bubble bit in, so this here is like the show your interest, join the community. This particular, it's called a bubble listing. Once you join this community, there is a back end to Bubble where you are inside the platform and you will see the other people. You'll see their user profiles. You'll see their, the user profile. You'll see their socials. You'll be able to chat with them. You'll be able to talk to them about different topics, like, for example, whether it be logistical topics or whether it be artist topics or meetups or whatever. Our Bubble platform provides the ability for us to keep everyone updated. There's like a bulletin board, which I can show you in a second. So when you join this community, you're joining firstly the ability to get to know the other people. But here's the kicker: the stay. So we're offering housing, mansions, condos, or hotels around Park City. We're asking you to tell us what you're kind of looking for in your budget in this show Interesting, and you'll be able to pick your level of room and curated stay
And
on
it's
Bubbl. And
community
so,
based. If people
Kwasi
have
and
a
Lisa are
need,
kind of like
this is handling the
handling the
community
program. And of
based.
course,
If
I know a lot of people who are going to
if
be relevant
if
for
you're a
this
community
campaign called
leader
Victoria Sound,
listening to this
Brisbane Sound
podcast or
Seafood.
watching it, and you're like, hey, I would love
Yeah,
to work with
yeah,
family offices. I'd like to
yeah,
work with creators. Then let's put together an event
yeah,
together, and we can
yeah,
use our footprint
yeah,
to help you accomplish
yeah.
your goals in our community.
So here's the other thing. So I want to show this page. So this is the event page. Again, this is my website, our Bubbl website, and this is our what do you call it? Proof of concept, MVP, whatever you want to call it. We're developing our mobile app right now, but this is where we've successfully run 26
It's
events
South by
already
Southwest,
in this
yeah.
year. Our first events were Heart Basel. And Kwasi actually ran our first event with it live because Kwasi ran South by when it wasn't actually live. It was and that was that was funny, and we had some great times. We've got some great reviews from that, of course, because it was kind of so new back then. But over the year, I built it, we launched it, we've done 26 events now, so we kind of know what we're doing at Bubbl. The
Hella
background, everyone who
ski.
doesn't know about it, was I was running ski houses
Who
on the
doesn't love
side and
hella
the
skiing?
tech executive. And I also ran a heli-ski trips all the time as well because I have a heli-ski travel company. My love of skiing, yeah, total heli-ski. My love of heli-skiing. Who doesn't love it? So, but my love of skiing brought me to run these ski houses in Tahoe, and I realized that people who could afford hotels really were choosing, even if it was like they didn't even know if they'd use the house, they were joining my house because they loved the idea of, the hot tubbing and the skiing together, the cooking meals together. And it really was just such a fun time. And I did this house for like 8 years. 9 years, I think, and I kept different houses. It didn't matter. See, the house doesn't actually matter. The house helps, but the house isn't the important thing. That the group is, and the people. And every at least in the ski house, every weekend you came up was a different weekend because it was a different mix of people, even out of the same bigger group. So that's what I think is fascinating about the concept of bubbling. It's called Bubbl, stay together, share together. And so this is the event page. Under the event page, we have our community bubble, which I've shown you on the other page. Is like, that's, you click in here and that takes you to join and show interest. But then what we're doing is we're starting to populate this with houses and different options. And so if I click into one of these housing options, for example, this is a condo. This is quite close to Park City. You can book your room or spot in this house. And it shows you how many people there are. We always pick condos that are of high ratings. We pick them with a good location to price ratio, a good number of bathrooms. You'll see that this one has 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. We always put high bedroom to bathroom ratios. And we give options for people. Some of them we do have some shared rooms, because that way we can give people much more economical pricing, because let's face it, you might be at Sundance out most of the time, or a lot of the time. So maybe there's those people that want to be able to actually come, and they might not be able to come unless they have a shared room. We never put usually more than 2 people ever in a shared room, and we make them, gender shared. But in general, this is one of the houses. We've actually got, we think we're probably going to be doing a lot of houses for Sundance. So imagine that this page is going to be populated with houses and experiences for Sundance. So yeah. And the thing about it is, it's the efficiency. So when someone applies for a house, so just to explain the Bubbl concept and why, and other creators might want to do this. By the way, we're putting up houses. If you want to put up your own house, come down here and check out the inventory we've got and see if you want to create your own Bubbl house. You can. You just press create a Bubbl here. Up it comes, and we will put it in the category if you want to do that. But a lot of people don't want to. That's why we're doing it, at least for the start. But if you're a creator, you might be interested in doing that. But in any case, we're going to have a lot of houses, a lot of options. A lot of people just want to pay and show up. That's where Bubbl comes in. Just all you do is have to pay and show up if you want to just pay and show up. And if you want to participate more, if you want to bring your brand, if you want to bring your friends, if you want to support your favorite movie, at Sundance, if you are a movie director or an executive producer, we want you and your film crews to come and join our bubble, because honestly, we think this is the start of what can really help the community building around Sundance. I'm not going to put credit and say we're going to be the community at all or anything like that, but just to say that by us creating this one community for Sundance, like we're making this become the world's first co-living village for a film festival, where you'll be able to not just be in, so you'll be in two bubbles. You'll be in this broader bubble, and then you'll be in this, and I'm going to show you the back end for a second because this is kind of important. You'll be in your separate like posse, like your house bubble. So this is another one. This has got a lot more spots. This has got like 5 bedrooms, I think it's got 5 bedrooms. We can get houses with 10 bedrooms. We're just sort of working out what people want. We don't want houses that are so big that there's, too many bedrooms. I think this has, sorry, let me make, where's the house? What does it say? I think this has, and we'll say it down here, 4 bedrooms. Okay, this one has 4 bedrooms as well. So we're going to have lots of houses. Just to show you what happens in the back end, and I do have to go into, actually I didn't have this up and running for everyone, but I'm going to show people what they see when they go in. Oh, I'll just do it from here actually. When they go in the back end, they see, and I'm going to pick the one where we've got our community right now. Just very quickly, I'm just going to quickly show you that it has 3 tabs. The first one is the Bubbl tab, and that's where you can literally see all the people in the bubble. Some people haven't put their user profiles in, but you can see we've got an emerging community of people who want to come to Sundance. You can, if you're, I've got the admin view, but you can chat with them. You can view their profile, which is kind of cool. This is just getting up and running. You can see the Bubbl Hub. That's where we can put the bulletin board. We can tell you what's going on. If it's a house, we tell you the entry instructions. There's some, we can update this. We can post different programs and things, and that's this section. And then there's the My Bubbl info section. If you are attending, you can actually see your spot and I can demo this bit because I am the admin. You can see your Bubbl info, so you can see if you booked something and where it is and all the info about what you booked and what your role and what your calendar will say. That'll all be there. So the software kind of helps you organize, and I guess helps us bring this together. And just to kind of finish off with kind of what we're doing. So the full thing will be join the Bubbl, pick your housing, pick your participation level, come along and enjoy, meet, connect, be inspired, participate. That's really what it's about, isn't it? And we should talk about Project Green. Project Green are a partner who benefits from the project. They have been partnering with the Lighthouse for a number of years, and they are a nonprofit children's charity that sponsor kids to go to annual summer camps and school excursions. And so they get some of the benefits of helping the children in need of America. So that's what that is. And yeah, is there any, so Kwasi, I guess, kind of from here, it's, oops, I just realized I'm in the wrong tab here. Where do I have to go? Oh, I realize what I'm doing. I just stopped sharing and I'm good. Right. Are you there, Kwasi? I lost Kwasi. Hello? Oh, his phone died. Guys, I've never had a podcaster die in the middle of it, but this has been a long podcast. Okay, I just see 127. Oh, he died a minute ago. He didn't die. His phone died. I guess he's coming back on. He's got to plug it in. I was wondering if that was going to happen. Just because I saw he had it on his phone, I was like, I wonder if his phone's charged. In any case, while we have Kwasi coming back, I won't end it. We'll wait till he comes back. We might just cut out this middle bit. I'll hold the fort. We're very excited to be having, I guess what I would say, the convergence of tech, policy, activators, innovation. We hope to have a lot of wellness brands, longevity brands. My personal passion is longevity. I'm very interested in some of the technology around, stem cells and exosomes and modals, partly because of my terrible knees, because of my, I just had to hold the fort for a second. I was holding the fort. I was talking about the fact that we're looking forward to having a lot of wellness and longevity brands and modals in there. Kwasi, because I think it'll be also, it's a holistic conference as well. right?
100%. And I'm in Mexico, so the connectivity is a little crazy here, but um yeah, no, it's about wellness for the earth. It's about health and wellness for us as individuals, for our mental health. I think we've all seen many of our friends and sometimes family members we've lost to mental health issues. So it's about, healing the earth, creating the coalitions that are going to heal the earth, but also that are going to enable us to have better quality of life, mental health, and physical health. And we're looking at we have experts and solutions for really to address all those issues. And that's why it's so exciting.
It's very exciting. So
Um,
anyway, I guess we've been on the phone for 50 minutes, which is 20 minutes longer than I normally do this, but I got to say, there's just a lot. There was a lot to unpack.
there's a
And I
lot.
think
There's
there
a
was
lot going on for this
there's a lot going
particular
on.
festival, and not to mention it's the last Sundance. We haven't even talked about that. This is the last Sundance in Park City.
Yeah.
The festival is moving to Boulder, Colorado, and I think for a lot of us who are longtime Sundance event producers, it's more than bittersweet because we've built our community around this in Park City with people from Utah,
Mm,
with people like Lisa who have given so much. And so now to move to Boulder is a little bit like
mm.
it's like when you're a kid and you have to move. You have to like
Yeah.
start in a new school and
It's the
get
same
new
thing, isn't
friends.
it?
It's like what? Like
Yeah.
it's not optimal.
Yeah.
But they
Mm.
made their decision for whatever reason.
What was it? Do you think housing had something to do with it? I think it might have.
I mean, there's always been capacity issues. Park
Mm.
City is not a huge city. It's part of
Well,
the
it started in Sundance, didn't it? Sundance Ski Resort, and then it
no,
went to Park City.
no, it's always
Oh,
been in Park City, and
I thought it started in Sundance.
part of
Mm.
the part of the magic is that it's such an intimate
Mm.
experience.
Yep.
But the downside is that then you have limited capacity, parking,
Mm-hmm.
housing, etc.
Yeah.
And so that's always been a challenge. And Amelia Powers Gardner spoke at 2050 House last year. She's the Utah County Commissioner, and I won't speak for her, but one of the things that she shared with us was that Sundance has always been fighting for additional part of the vacation and travel taxes that Utah as a state collects. And I think Colorado maybe gave a better or a more robust offering than maybe Utah was able to. And so I don't want to speculate. I'm just thinking, what would have made them move from their home to a new place. It's like saying, hey, you know what? We're going to take Mardi Gras out of New Orleans and we're going to move it to Atlanta because Atlanta is
Mm-hmm.
giving us a better. I don't know. It's crazy. It wasn't my decision. They didn't ask me. I'm just
Mm.
going to enjoy this last dance this year
Yeah.
and then we'll
Yeah. The
figure it
Last
out from
Dance.
there.
Yeah, and fantastic. And we're anyway representing Bubbl. We're really excited that we hope we can help people with housing and participate. And we're going to have. I'm driving over from San Francisco. We're going to have our Bubbl sticker on the outside of our car, and we're going to be like probably running around a lot of the houses, making sure that everything's good.
Yeah, and it's
So that's
exciting
what
to
we're
work
doing.
with you on this, Haley. Thank you for
Yeah.
for being a partner.
Well, we're excited too, and I think many more. Watch this space, and please, if you're watching this and you've ever wondered about going to Sundance, this is the year to go because for two
This is
reasons.
the year to
One, it's the
go.
last
It's the
dance.
last
It's the year
dance.
to go. It's the last dance, and we're going to have your housing solved for you. So that's the other thing because that's a big deal. Just get yourself to Park City, look on our page, sign up to our
Yeah,
community,
and
and
I guess one last point, if you're looking at hotel room options in Park City, you're gonna spend 350 to 1,000 plus on a hotel
actually
room
more. Some of them are like 1,200, 1,500. I've
at
seen.
least, and that's for the same hotel room that you would spend normally $200 on. What
Mm.
we found over the years, when you build collective houses, you're able to save money, but also build community. And with Bubbl, you're really taking it to the next level to basically create really formalized like bubbles essentially of
Yeah, they're called Bubbl.
people who have shared interests, people who have shared mission, and it's exciting to work with you on this campaign, Haley, and thank you for being our partner.
That's it. And I was going to say the last thing that happens when you go to something like this, you go to Burning Man, you go to this, you go to South by. What I find and what I love it is firstly you get the eclectic mix of people. Secondly, you get the glass half full people. Like you get the serendipity, right? You get the people who are like, you know what, it's going to be traffic for an hour. You're going to be in an Uber, but you know what, you're going to be in an Uber together with other people.
With people
And
that
they're
you like
cool
and
and
that
they're
you want to
interesting.
become friends with, not
Yeah.
randos,
So every
like
every moment, with the exception of when you're sleeping, every moment that you're at these events is an opportunity to learn, grow, meet, connect, have fun. And when you're standing, although I must admit, standing outside in the cold snow, even that, as long as you've got warm boots and a warm coat, and
and
try to
if
bring
you
a
have
Estes.
warm relationships around you, and
Yeah,
this is the thing too with working with us, we're going to expedite your ability to get in not only to our events but other third party
mm,
events. So you're not
yeah,
going to have to deal with a lot of the stress that
yes,
normal people would deal with when they're going to a festival like this,
hmm,
especially for if you've never been before. Like it can be very challenging.
it can
But
be.
when I've been doing this for over a decade, and so I know kind of the ways to make it optimized, and we just have to figure it out, and what makes best sense for you, and what your real goals are in participating.
Okay, and with that in mind, I think we all need to go and finish our Christmas shopping because Santa's coming.
Yeah, well,
Um,
happy. What did they say in Australia? Happy Christmas or Merry Christmas?
Actually, I got to bring my family. They're all waking up. It's Christmas morning over there, so
Well,
yeah,
Merry
yeah.
Christmas to you,
Yeah,
Haley, and
yeah,
it's a
with
pleasure to
my
work with you on
koala
this.
bear, my koala bear Santa hat. They're very relevant, right?
That is an ugly Christmas sweater for sure.
Isn't it? It's super cute though. Okay, goodbye everyone. Thank you so much, Kwasi. We'll see you at Sundance, and Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you, Haley.
Thank you. And you'll see this podcast. You would have seen it obviously because you're watching it on Apple and Spotify.